Hi, I'm Martha Van Dam with Living Beyond, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm guessing if you pulled up this video that you yourself have experienced some overwhelm. It's in the title. Why would you listen to it if you weren't a little bit interested in overwhelm? Well, the reason I'm making this video today is that I've had so many clients in the last week or so mention the word. The cool thing about overwhelm is that I don't have to go digging to see if someone is experiencing overwhelm. It's very, very clear. They generally come into my office and practically within the first 3 or 4 minutes, they'll say, I'm so overwhelmed. It's real clear to know that that's what people are struggling with. And if you're struggling with it, I'll bet you know that too. So let's just dive right in. Overwhelm almost always has two components to it. The first component is the actual things that are going on in your world. An illness at the same time as you're caring for a child, or you're caring for an elderly parent, or you're in school and you're trying to manage work, and there's all the school assignments to be done plus work assignments at the same time. That sort of thing. You're trying to be in lots of places and get lots of things done in a short period of time. And very often connected with that will be a sense of overwhelm. So item number one is all the things that are going into it. And we'll touch on this in a minute. This particular piece of it actually is the easier piece to deal with. But I'll come back to that in a second. The second part of overwhelm, when we're dealing with overwhelm, is almost always our mind and our heart attitude, our thoughts and our feelings about the things, or about our ability to manage the things. And I'll tell you the truth. It's what's going on up here and in our hearts. It's what's going on up here that actually creates most of the overwhelm. It's actually not all of the things. That's good news. That's very, very good news. So back to the things. If we're dealing with too many things, or at least a lot of things to get done in a fairly short period of time, there is a way to manage the things. Any person who deals with productivity, any person who is a coach can help you break down, how do I manage the things? Generally, it boils down to this. You brain dump all of the things that you have on your plate. If it's several assignments and a couple of papers to be written and a test or two coming up, if it's dealing with bills that have to be paid, house that has to be taken care of, things that need to be maintained that are broken, if it's work and school assignments and having kids at all the different places they need to be all at the same time, whatever it is, you write all of those things down. One of two things happens, the two things again, but one of two things happens when you see that list. The first one is that you look at the list and it's really long and you say, wow, this is a huge list. No wonder I'm feeling pressured. No wonder I'm having issues. This is really a bunch of things. Or the second one is, and there's a little validation with that first piece. I'm not crazy. There's a lot here. The second piece of it is you may get it written down and then you may look at it and realize this is not as bad as I thought it was. When I see it all in one place, this is not so overwhelming, and then it's easier to schedule. So one of those two things happen. We have you back to the list. So you've written your list, and what you really want to do with it now is divide that list based on one or two things. Different people do it different ways. Some people like to take that list and then put it in 1, 2, 3 order of importance. And then they just try to look out, tackle topic number 1, job number 2, job number 3, in that sort of 1, 2, 3 order. My favorite way of doing it is write it all down, look over the list, and find a place in my planner where I'm going to put each one of those things. And so if I've got to, here's an easy one, pack for a trip. Well, I know where I'm going to put that. I know I'm going to put that right before the trip. Maybe a day before, so I can start putting things in a suitcase in a peaceful sort of way, not in a rush sort of way. But I know where it's going to go on the calendar. Let's think of something else. So if you're trying to work on a project for work, if you put that exactly on the calendar where you want to do the work, then all the days before that, when you think of it, then you're able to say to yourself, I don't have to worry about that right now. It's on my calendar. It's marked down for Tuesday. It's on there for Wednesday. Not thinking about it now. So it can take the pressure of so many things off, because we're not thinking about them until the day that we're going to work on them. And then where we are today, we can just focus on today with a free mind that says, yeah, I'll get to that other stuff. It's already scheduled. It's in the works. So having a plan, having some order, having an effective planner is very, very beneficial for the actual things piece of overwhelm. But remember, we said there were two pieces, and we said this things piece, that's the easiest piece. The trickier piece is actually, I think, what creates the most overwhelm. And that is what's happening here in our thoughts, here in our feelings. Because the way we think about it, the way we talk to ourselves about the things we're doing, that is actually what creates how we feel about what we have to do. And it determines if we feel overwhelmed or completely in control and at peace. Maybe a little pressure, maybe a little under the gun, maybe a little bit of sense of force from time constraint, but not overwhelmed. And here's how that looks. So remember that list? Long list. You've got it all in your head. Things that you're trying to get done. If your mind is saying to you, see if you recognize any of these thoughts. You will never get this done. This is way too much. How did you get yourself backed into this corner? You always do this. You wait until the last minute. You need to recognize any of those thoughts? Okay, how about this one? Everybody's depending on me for something. The kids need something. My parents need something. My husband, my wife needs something. There's just always some pressure, pressure, pressure. Recognize those? If those kinds of thoughts, oh, wait, and here's a better one. You'll never get this right. You always screw this up. You always do this to yourself. You're not going to get this right because it's just going to be like all the other times. You're just going to keep messing it up. Anybody recognize any of those? Those are really painful. So you can see where all of those thoughts, when targeted on the things that you're trying to get done, all they do is create a sense of pressure, get it done, have to perform. That ends up being what actually creates the most amount of stress and the strongest sense of overwhelm. So what we really want to do is tackle that. Tackle what's going on up here, tackle what's here. Tackle our thoughts, tackle our feelings. And again, we're going to go to a piece of paper to do this. I want you to pull out paper and I want you to write down the things, another brain dump, what comes to your mind, not the actual events or the things you have to do, but what are the thoughts, what are the feelings I'm having about it when I think about them. And if you're writing down, you've done it to yourself again. Why did you do this? How did you get backed into this corner? If those are the things you're writing down, then you're going to be able to look at that list and you're going to be able to say, no wonder I'm feeling awful about this. And first, in the first piece, very, very obvious piece is you're going to focus on not talking to yourself that way. When you find your mind saying that to yourself, when you're tuned in and you recognize it, then I want you to hear it and I want you to say, oh, no, we're not doing that anymore. You can just stop that, Missy. Put those words back in your pocket and go on your way. You just stop it. And then I want you to reframe and go in a different direction and say to yourself, you can do this. You've done it before and you can do it now. Now that doesn't mean it's always going to be that simple, because you also might have down deep in your heart some sensations or some beliefs about you failed before, you're going to fail again. Why do you think you're going to be able to pull it out and make it okay this time? And if you've got some beliefs that are telling you that, then you're going to want to address those. And the short, we'll get into this more in another video, but the short of this is you're going to want to recognize the belief. It can take a minute, but you're going to want to recognize it. And then you're going to want to bring it to the surface and examine it and expose it to questioning. Is that actually true? I mean, really, can I call myself a failure? No, that's likely not completely true, because likely there are plenty of things that you have succeeded at. So we can stop. Okay, so I can't say that I'm a failure. And then you're going to ask yourself, how do I feel when I'm having those thoughts or those beliefs? Well, I feel crummy. I feel hopeless. I feel helpless. I feel like a failure. I feel bad. I feel pain. I feel rejected. I feel alone. So you address, what is it that this thought is making me feel? And then you're going to ask yourself, oh, how would I be feeling about this list? How would I be feeling about life if I weren't having these thoughts? I want to ask you a minute right now to think about it. Whatever you're feeling overwhelmed about in your life, if you weren't having those thoughts about the overwhelm, how would you be feeling right now? 9 times out of 10, when I ask that question in this office, what the person says is free. I would be feeling free. So I want you to kind of think about what that freedom feels like, looking at tasks to do and feeling freedom about doing that, because we're not beating ourselves up about it. And because we're choosing now to believe that if I put this in a workable order, get some help where needed, I will be able to be a part of making this succeed. That feels a whole lot better. So get out your paper. Brain dump all the things you've got going on. Look at putting them in some sort of order in a calendar, in a planner. But then also take another piece of paper and brain dump, what is it that I feel about this stuff? What am I thinking about this stuff? And then start questioning the things that you believe and you think about your own productivity, your own list, the things that you have going on. I hope that that sets you on a path of at least a beginning of being able to deal with that overwhelm. Have a lovely day, and absolutely positively go do something a little bit enjoyable today. Thanks, and bye-bye.